Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the council meeting for the 1st of July, the start of a whole lot of water CCOs around the country. Some might call that lucky for them. Could please join me in standing for the opening karakia. Right. We have an apology from Councillor Fields and a possible early departure from Councillor Donovan. Jake is late and Nathaniel is sick. Right. I'm happy to move those. In favour? Thank you, that's carried. Declaration of interest, I've got Celeste is for OCHT. For that, who are the other councillors on OCHT? All right. Oh, so that we're all clear in that department. So now we'll hear from the community boards, and first up is Horswell, Hornby, Riccarton. So Sarah and Bailey, please. Good morning.
Morning. You can hear me okay. So the following is a summary of some of the key activities, projects and community engagement undertaken across the Horswell, Hornby, Riccarton area over the past month. At its recent meeting, the board heard from community representatives on the following local Tehi. Sorry, I may not get the pronunciation correct. That's a new school currently being built in Horswell. Representatives of the establishment board raised concerns regarding pedestrian access to the new school on Milnes Road, highlighting the importance of safe walking connections for students and families. This reflects ongoing growth pressures in Horswell and the need for supporting transport infrastructure. This has been passed on to staff, and the board are expecting a The Banga Liana Multicultural Christchurch Group. This organisation provided an update on community activities, including planning for the Durga Utsav Festival in later 2026. The board acknowledged the importance of such events in supporting cultural diversity, community connection and social inclusion across the area. Consultations recently closed or underway in the board area include the Broomfield Development Plan. Community feedback is being sought on proposed improvements to these neighbourhood reserves. The plan aims to enhance recreational opportunities, accessibility and amenity values in response to local needs. Templeton Domain Play Space Renewal and Tree Planting Plan. Consultation is underway on upgrades to the Templeton Domain Play Space alongside landscape enhancements. The project supports improved play experiences while contributing to urban greening and environmental outcomes. Waikola Skate Park and Scooter Facility. Long-awaited construction is now underway with completion anticipated later in October. The board is delighted to see work commencing on this long-awaited community facility and looks forward to and the wider community in the coming months. To support applicants and improve accessibility to the Strengthening Communities Fund, a range of online workshops and in-person sessions were delivered across the ward at various times and venues, enabling organisations to seek guidance, develop project ideas and submit quality funding applications. Strengthening Communities Fund Assessment Report and considering how it can support local organisations and community groups to continue delivering valuable programs, services and activities in the board area. A community preparedness planning session for Horswell and Wigram was held in May, facilitated by community development advisors alongside resilience coordinators. Community representatives, residents groups and local organisations attended to discuss local risks, resources and community response arrangements. Following the session, community groups have begun work on developing a Horswell Community Resilience Plan to strengthen community preparedness and local resilience. Support for Development New Zealand is a charity to improve social well-being, strengthen community resilience and encourage healthy, organic and sustainable living through a variety of research initiatives and programs. Group members hold combined expertise in environmental conservation and sustainability, water agriculture, forestry, soil science and horticulture. Support for Development New Zealand will establish a community garden in Wigram with up to 4 garden beds for planting. Interest in expanding the garden in the future to include native plants and trees, fruit trees, medicinal and herbal plants and ornamentals. They will work in collaboration with other interested groups and residents. One partnership already established is with the Horswell Men's Shed. They're currently building the planter boxes. Thank you.
Then Tim.
Thank you. Just quickly, on the Strengthening Communities applications, did you have any organisations that missed that deadline? Do you know?
I don't personally know, but I would refer to
And the reason I'm asking is because in our ward we had 3 or 4, and the reason was we could look at that, because whether that's changed this
so the
year.
time is different for there was lots of communication that went to all the groups notifying them, but yeah.
Oh yeah, same here, they got lots of notice, but it didn't seem to change it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Tim, please.
Thank you, Marina, and welcome.
Thank you.
With your community resilience session, I went to a very good one run by Fens in the Horswell. Predominantly about fire risk, or is it because that's the thing that seems to be worrying the communities, that our community board, we've basically your border on between Horswell and Christchurch, we then go right out to Godley Head, so it's a real concern. So I'm just wondering what did you concentrate on in that session, or what was concentrated on?
I believe it was across the board, but given the recent fire, but correct me if I'm wrong, Bailey.
Yeah, for Horswell it definitely is the fires, but also the impact if there's an event somewhere else in the city and people are coming over to the southwest, what that community will do in terms of hosting people who are fleeing to Horswell, and how they can prepare in that way as well. But fires and flooding in some Horswell areas.
Because we've got some issues with regards to emergency access up places like streets and things that they go to nowhere. You've got a few new ones. I'm just wondering if there are concerns from Fens with regards to those, because something that we're going to be bringing up, or I'm going to be bringing up anyway, with the Greater Council. So it'd be good to get some feedback from you guys to our community board. It'd be really good.
Yeah.
Thank you,
cool.
and welcome. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. And thank you very much for coming in. Good, always very good to see you. Thank you.
Likewise, thanks very much.
Okay, we've got Coastal Burwood Linwood, got Paul.
All right. Ngā mihi nui ki a koe e te kurumātua, ngā mihi. So Brighton's Got Talent was held on Saturday the 6th of June, bringing South Brighton community together for a fun, family-friendly evening. It featured a wide range of local performers of all age, showcasing the talent and creativity within the community. I don't think any of our coastal members featured, but feel free to make suggestions to them about what act they should perform next time. I'm not a coastal member, Pauline. There's a wall between Linwood and Coastal. As part of Youth Week of 2026, YCD and Kawa Rangatahi hosted a free community event celebrating young people and their whānau. The event featured a silent disco, an outdoor screening of Zootopia, and the popular fresh pool parties at Te Pou Tuitui. Council staff engaged with attendees on the draft Linwood concept plan, caregivers to share feedback. And here Wakatapu celebrated Samoan Language Week by bringing the community together to celebrate Samoan language, culture and identity. Ua mātou whaamanatu le sao o tangata Samoa I Christchurch. Now, you are probably aware, State Highway 74 runs along the causeway between the oxidation ponds and the wastewater treatment plant. I don't know what's happening with the speaker. Along the boundary of that road, there are two fences, quite unnecessarily. There's a high fence that's in good repair that belongs to the council, and a low fence about a metre inside the boundary that belongs to NZTA. NZTA's shorter fence is in a state of disrepair thanks to a combination of some poor driving and no budget for maintenance or repair. This is not only that rubbish is accumulating in between the fences, and it's a constant source of irritation for the community and elected members alike. The good news is that NZTA will allow their fence to be removed, but the bad news is that we will likely have to pay for it. Our governance team are working on finding out how much that will cost, and also if NZTA may contribute something. And the removal of the fence as a long-standing irritation through our remaining Better Off fund. However, we may not have enough money, and if that is the case, then we will likely be coming back to you for a little bit of help. Once the fence is removed, that leaves a good amount of space for pedestrian and cycle access, as well as some planting. But the problem is that NZTA own the asset, and it does not have funding available for. Really, the ask is that that we have your support to advocate for those things, as well as the icing on the cake, which would be lights at the Maces Road, Dyers Road intersection, which would mean that we could keep heavy traffic out of the Bromley residential area. So really, it's just a heads up and an ask for support. Nothing definite at this point, but something that has been a source of. Kia ora.
Okay, Paul, just one question. What did you say about keeping traffic out of the, is it, what are you trying to achieve on that corner? Sorry.
So Maces Road, Dyers Road,
Yes,
one of the reasons that trucks go through, and the only legitimate reason really that trucks go through the residential streets in Bromley, like using Bromley Road, is that turning right onto Dyers Road is difficult. There is it's much easier to access the ring road, and there would not really any legitimate reason to go through the residential streets.
Right, okay, I'm with you. Celeste, please, and then Pauline.
Yeah, it'd be really good to get maybe sort of a formal update from NZTA around this. I know that we've got a number of parts of the city where we end up in this kind of no man's land where no one wants to take responsibility in this particular. So I think the board's been advocating for this for a number of years, so it would be good to get something concrete back that can be circulated and a bit of a plan for the way forward. I know staff are working on it, but I think it would be good to hear from NZTA as well.
Yeah, I mean, all we know is there's no funding that's allocated in the regional policy statement for the fences or for lights at Dyers, but that doesn't mean it can't happen.
If NZTA can't find something wrong with them, so I'm bringing them a bit later on with another notice of motion we've got coming through, so I'll certainly bring that up with Mr. Cagle. Thank you. Pauline?
Yeah, I was just going to totally support that. And I think for the board to be having to dig into their Better Off funding to remove an NZTA piece of infrastructure just doesn't sit right with me. So Executive can pick that up with the mayor.
Well,
And as you say, it's not just this one example, there's a few around the city.
Thank you, Pauline. And even though we're out of time because it's Yanni's ward, we'll let him talk.
Yeah, just to say that there's a need for a piece of work from Linwood Ave to the Bridge Street roundabout. So there's issues with speed, the heavy vehicles, as has been mentioned, the traffic light. So, you know, I'm certainly supportive of getting the fence sorted. I think that's important. But we just stretch of the highway around cycling, pedestrian safety, speed limits, as well as the fence. So, yeah, just wanted to make people aware that there's a lot of concern around this stretch. And it would be good to know how council relates to NZTA at a governance level. Like, what is our process to have these high-level conversations with NZTA from this table around some of the things that are frustrating us? So hopefully when you talk to them today, you can sort of level discussions.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Sorry, you're going to say
Cool. I was just going to say, obviously, you know, we don't want to have to dip into our Better Off Fund. It would be great if it was a metro solution. It is a state highway after all. But the key is to get it done, because it is something that comes up again and again and again. So, yeah, thank you, councillors, for your support.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Good to see you again, Chris. Okay.
I've got the high seat today.
Kia ora tata. We're here to report the highlights and some good things that are happening on Banks Peninsula. There's a couple of a lot of debate. We've reached a meaningful plan for U Cottage, also known as Jenny's Cottage, which is down by the bowling club. We've been advised that that can be moved, and there's now a confirmed intention to remove it away from its flood-prone site to 8 Rue Viard near the Sea Scout Hall, where it's hoped that we can work with the community around initiating a renovation of the heritage of Akaroa. And there's already reason to be encouraged in that two community groups have expressed an interest in making use of that space. On the same theme, the Friends of the Kukapa Reserve in Pigeon Bay have approached the board with a proposal close to their hearts. They want to work alongside the staff and board to develop a community-led plan for preserving the important heritage to help halt its further deterioration and enhance the surrounding reserve for residents and visitors alike. It's very overgrown and mostly inaccessible, but an important heritage building. Both of these steps are in the right direction, where the community are taking the lead and we're working alongside them. So there's two important things that have been sort of stuck for quite a number of years back and forth. We hope we've made some definitive progress.
Agreement. Can you hear me?
Yep.
There we go. Governance Partnership Agreement. So we recently held an information session, thanks to John Filsell, about the collaborative approach to decision making between City Council and community boards. And I want to be direct about what we raised. There are times when decisions are made, decisions that carry real consequences for our communities, and our board members find out about them not in a meeting room or even an email, but at a funeral, when a member of the public approaches them and demands answers we simply don't have. That is not good enough. And I say that not as a criticism of individuals, but a challenge of process. The Akaroa wastewater discussions are a clear example. Meetings have taken place and decisions have moved forward without the board being properly in the loop, leaving us unable to communities as we should. Or to consider finding out about a Cairns Bay seawall repairs days after a Newslink article release, and we used to get emails about relevant Newslink articles. It's not about decisions necessarily. There are meetings happening with guests and topics of direct relevance to Banks Peninsula, where our presence and input could make a genuine difference. The Sea Connection presentation by the Wari Warunanga, the kinds of conversation where community board involvement matters, where our knowledge of local context, our relationships and our accountability to residents adds real value. And yet we are often not aware of these meetings. Being informed about meetings that affect our community, that's the bare minimum. What we are asking for is clear process, one that loops community boards into relevant meeting dates, gives us the opportunity to contribute time to put our questions to councillors before decisions are made, not after. So we'll be doing some things like writing to the general managers to ask to be included in the information flow, because as we know, good intentions without good process can leave a trail of unintended consequences. Our processes must reflect our values. In a time of pressure and change, and Lord knows that it is our processes and our values that hold us steady. They are our rudder. When everything else feels uncertain, they must remain. So your help with this would be greatly appreciated.
Following that, we want to update you on issues around freedom camping, which you know have been quite a controversial issue out on Banks Peninsula and difficult and distressing for some of the residents. So the community board from Tina and her team about freedom camping and all the details and regulations, which in themselves are particularly complicated and difficult as an ongoing problem. The unintended consequences, I think, of these rules are real and felt across our area, which limit the ability of the council to control freedom camping in the way we would really want. Self-containment regulations finally came into complete force on the 7th of June, so that might deal with some of the pressing concerns. But at the heart of this issue are two values, I think, that most people in this room would share: safety and manakitakanga, people feeling safe and generally caring for people in place. We're trying to keep these two to find solutions that may work.
And just to wrap up, and I'm aware that we're out of time, so thank you for your patience. Matariki. To close on a note of celebration, we want to acknowledge Matariki coming up on the 10th. We have at least two of these wonderful, oh thank you, change that, two wonderful events happening on Banks Peninsula to mark this special time of year, and I encourage you to get along and be part of that. Matariki is a time for reflection, for remembrance, and for looking forward together. Everything we've presented about this morning. Manawatia Matariki, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you so much. It's very good. Okay, Celeste, where you go?
Appreciate it. Oh.
Second.
I was just going to say thanks for the update on freedom camping. I know that although it's technically the quiet season, it is all still an ongoing challenge for many communities. I think just picking up on the conversation around having a chat with central government, Down Lakes District Council and other councils across the South Island feel like they're not being heard on this, so it'd be good if we kind of start to have the conversation with ministers about forming a bit of a strategy and being heard across the South Island, because I don't think they're taking this seriously.
Okay.
Yep, sounds great.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we
And sorry,
appreciate
Yanni,
that.
we are out of time, mate. And Lynn, good to see the work starting on the laydown area for the new wharf.
Yes,
So,
very.
Kia and Sophie, please. Spraden Cashmere Heathcote Community Board. Hello.
Good morning. Oof. I hope that's not this morning. This morning we thought we might, I guess, be a bit proactive rather than reactive in our reporting to council, and have a bit of a conversation about some of the risks that we see across our communities, particularly the sort of natural hazard space, and what council can be doing to address those challenges for our communities and how that might fit in with our board plan. So the geography of the Waihoro board area beautiful and varied part of Christchurch, all the way from the hills through the river corridor and then down into the seaside suburbs. It does obviously place some particular risks across those communities, from landslide, fire, flooding, and then the potential coastal hazards that we're going to see. Another area that we're really conscious of this year is the El Nino weather oscillation and how that's going to affect the fire risk in the upcoming fire season. So we really we see these risks as interconnected, but we really wanted to come and see this as quite a timely opportunity to have this conversation. So we're aware that with the weather, the big underlying mechanisms, whether that's sediment runoff, whether that's flooding, whether that's fire, the weather's a chunk of that, and with changing weather patterns, we're going to see more extreme weather, and that's going to drive more of these risks. We think that there's some steps council can take in the long run, particularly on the hills around the Port Hills plan, whether developing that plan and then implementing it, that can tackle some of those runoff risks. Some of that will help with some of that flooding stuff in the long. The right planting choices help with fire risk, so that's one kind of longer term thing. We also think there's a place for community resilience.
So how is the board going to promote community resilience? Well, it starts with strong relationships with emergency management, and in our board plan we call for community planning for flooding, fires, all these events that Ki has mentioned. As a board, we're ready to support civil defence with regard to the future management of displaced persons, should there be an event, and we want to partner with FENZ to deliver community information sessions. We'll also work on improving relationships with our local communities, sharing knowledge about preparedness and supporting the resources of local community hubs. And one thing that's really important for these hubs is that they have an energy source in the case of an emergency, particularly through solar and battery storage. Their ability to respond in an emergency. When we look at upcoming risks, there's fire, there's flooding, there's sediment management. So when it comes to reducing fire risks, we want to see access for our emergency vehicles. And there are a lot of challenges in the hills with narrow access ways and limited space. Another response is landscaping, trimming the trees, vegetation, managing the planting so that it's appropriate. Reduce downstream flooding, capture sediment and slow water movement, and protect our communities and infrastructure. So we really want to emphasise that changes today can have very significant long-term benefits. And as we look at what other countries have done, we wonder if there are lessons that can be learned from Australia, which has developed strong community-level awareness around bushfire risk. How can in preparedness?
And then finally, just to wrap up with a few thank yous and some celebrations, we particularly wanted to acknowledge the Parks Visitor Experience team, who incredibly rapidly turned around a request from one of our community board members, Kate Hodgins, for some signage about going a bit slower on a shared path. People sometimes talk about council moving slowly. When that first inquiry came into some signage going out, so that was a really positive experience. And we also held our annual Garden Awards on the 16th of June, which is always an amazing time to celebrate the community. And just finally, I'd like to acknowledge a local business, Tussock Hill, who were given a Michelin star last night, which was really cool to see a great local business given that kind of. I recommend you all come up, have a meal, and you can look out at the very dry hills while you're having a glass of dry wine. Thank you.
Very good. Good. Tim? And that will do.
Yeah, just to follow on with our concerns with the environment, Kate Hodges, one of our community board members, and myself, and I want to thank Wayne Hamilton from FENZ. We went up and had a fire engine concern for them and us that there are so many small roads, etc., that have no controls that we are able to put because our policies don't allow it. We have to start changing our minds and look at the real hazards that we have now, because we are going into a horrendous summer, that's for sure. So I think we need to have some discussions around this table. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Always good to see you.
Thank you very much.
And lastly, we have Sunita and Emma. True. No.
Morena, Mr. Mayor and councillors. I am here with Emma today, so Emma is channeling Simon. So we'll start with our public forum. We had Harper Knowles, who we supported for youth development, reported back that she attended the National Latin Dance Championship. How lovely the experience was, and our support has enabled her to be able to participate and continue her passion for future. We also had Shrushruti from Bangaliana Multicultural Christchurch reported back the success of Saraswati Puja. Again, they extended the gratitude to board and council for supporting the event. Next, we had to the board an introduction to the transport unit, an early view of the program being developed for the LTP, an overview of Good to Go workplace and community travel program. All this provided helpful background to the board's prioritization this term of advocating for improvements to the transport network that look to the proofing it and support our current communities for preparing that presentation and coming to our board. Next, we had some community liaisons. Summer with Your Neighbours, a very popular program. Under that, we had Cross Reserve held their evening on Tuesday, the 23rd of March. This family picnic event with plenty of children activities was described as a really special, with many meetings for the first time despite living in the same neighborhood. We also had Redwood Spring Community Garden. They held their event on 21st of March. This was sausage sizzle, was reported to be a great way to connect with people new to the neighborhood and welcome children and dogs for the festivities. The attendance was healthy and it proved a good opportunity not only to socialize but on local news and share tips for improving home security in the area. Lastly, Dull Place, they held their evening on Wednesday, 8th April. The residents shared Kai, chatted and enjoyed catching up with neighbors. I attended a panel of discussion at Let's Talk workshop organized by Multicultural Recreation and to support culture and ethnic communities in Ototahi to better understand how council works and how they can participate in local democratic process with confidence. So it was very engaging workshop. I joined at the discussion some really interesting questions. People have a lot of myths for how you can become an elected. Some myths on the spot. However, it was great to see that people are interested and they want to know how council works and how our local democracy impacts their lives. Additionally, there was a beer hunt at Water Park, Shirley Community Trust hosted, and that was a part of the Walking Festival. It was a great turnout with a huge number of beer hunters who successfully found the beer, and Eastern Communities Operation were there too, with play equipment that contributed to Tamariki enjoying themselves. We were busy actually, so we've got a lot to go through. Sticks Living Laboratory Trust, their highlight was that about 525 kids have been through the Ka Putahi Maturangamari Education Day, which was fully funded in partnership people connected with Styx River by kayak, led by our volunteers and lead experts. And podcasting has become another platform to educate people about Styx. So they were good at organizing and facilitating the event. Additional Delta Community Trust has reported a wonderful turnout for their Wednesday Flourish Cafe. Links member. They note that for their intellectually disabled team who assist with this, the connection, learning, laughter, and life skill is as valuable as $5 meal. Are those feelings the many pressure in terms of cost of living? So it's great event. I also participated and represented board in called Pathways to Public Sector Governance, and it was an insights from appointed members. The event was held and organized by Ministry of Ethnic Communities. I noted it was inspiring to be part of the room filled with passionate current and future leaders committed to making a difference in New Zealand. So it was great to see that people are again interested in governance role. Some park updates. The Community Partnership Ranger around the green spaces in the board area. Bottom right, you can see that working bee at Essex Reserve in April, where a few keen members of the public turned up to join them for a fruitful maintenance session. And at the bottom left, there was a drop off a good amount of plant to Pack Reserve for community garden to plant in the garden beds. We Are Richmond group co-hosted a walk with Red Zone Dogs, Ototahi, on 18th April as a part of Walking Festival, which they note was a hit and suggest that if anyone would be interested in regular Saturday morning walk originated from Revolution Farmers Market in the Richmond Community Garden, they get in touch with the Red Zone Dogs Ototahi group. Richmond Community Garden and Revolution hosted with the many volunteers who came and cleaned up the Avon Otakaro River. Next, we have update on Phillipstown Community Hub. Council staff from Community Governance team, as a part of the leading the council's transition short-term interim caretaker role, are on site at Phillipstown Hub and are happy to take room bookings. Help continues to be available for the community. Our priority is to ensure the hub remains a welcoming and active space, keeping the door open, maintaining the facilities, and supporting the many groups and individuals who bring the hub to life. We recognize how important this space is for connection, well-being, local activity, and we are committed to supporting its. Linwood Village mural opened. Artist Kofi Sue Holz-Bosch has completed a wonderful community mural at 93 Stanmore Road in the heart of Linwood Village. It was delivered by Elvin Place Program. She hosted an opening on Saturday, 2nd May. Myself and John Miller, board member, joined the event. A beautiful mural highlighting that what once was a blank wall is now powerful reflection of community, culture, and hope, and a vibrant new chapter for Linwood Village. The mural captured local stories from the flowing Otakaro River and native plants to the diverse culture and everyday people who make Linwood Village special. I express congratulations to everyone. Northwest Works, we had on Saturday 16th May, residents were invited to join Isaac Construction and the council for an overview of upcoming work on Matheson Ave, Haywood Road and Chapel Street relating to major cycle route and wastewater. And the Deputy Chair Simon remarking the inevitable there will be impact on traffic and parking, but by working on these 3 streets at once, the project will complete in short time possible. We also had Papanui High Choir. It was quite a delight for Music Month to be celebrated by this group. Lastly, I'd like to mention at Phillipstown Hub on 14th July, and the highlight is that there's going to be thousands of hangi being prepared. So make sure that you don't miss out. This event is in conjunction with Purapura Fetu, Tipua, Waitanga, and Christchurch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, our community boards. I'm happy to move it, and Kelly's happy to second it. The monthly reports. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you. That's carried. Now we're into public participation. Public forum, 5 minutes each. Next generation conversation and Lighthouse Aotearoa. We've got Joel and Bronte, please. Welcome.
Kia ora everyone, I'm Joel, this is Bronte. We are here representing the Next Generation Conversation. We are a group of young people across the Christchurch and Banks Peninsula region aimed at targeting climate change and with intergenerational equity. A couple months ago we wrote an open letter to politicians and the Mayor's office in conjunction with Lighthouse Aotearoa, which is a similar group based in the Nelson Marlborough region. And so we got a response from the Mayor's office, and we'd just like to discuss a bit about that with you.
Okay. We appreciate the response to our questions, and we thank you for the care and consideration that has gone into these answers, as well as the ongoing. I personally liked your recognition of the qualities that make Aotearoa New Zealand such a unique place, and the emphasis you have placed on strong communities and how this will only benefit us. This is what sets us apart and puts us in an amazing place to even start climate action. We appreciated how the natural environment and healthy communities aren't set apart or trying to compete for attention, but rather the opposite. They have been. We value all the work you've been doing and appreciate that this work is underway. However, our hope for the future is that all this work is made more visible and accessible to the public. Making this information widespread and simple to understand is one of the first steps to making sure our climate action comes across united with everyone's ideas on board. Greater transparency in climate action will also help build trust and ensure that communities are being heard and engaged. We challenge you to think about how you will ensure these qualities will be incorporated into future work and how we, as children and young people, can help and support you. We all want to be a part of a solution that sets up us and future generations for a more sustainable future. Thank you again for your time, and are there any questions?
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you very much. You see more precisely that we could be doing to fulfill what you've talked about?
I think just making sure that in all future decisions made around climate action, that all communities, children, young people are all being included in this work, and that their ideas can be seen and are taken aboard to make sure that they're.
That's good. Yanni, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the deputation. Just reflecting on what we could do, do you think there's a need to have a specific role within council that considers we used to have a children's advocate many years ago and a youth advocate, but do you think there's a need for a role for someone to kind of have that responsibility for having that future and the lower age, the children's and the youth specifically. With do you think there's a need for us to have more of a dedicated person within the organisation advocating for the things that you're raising?
Yeah, I mean, that would be excellent, but also just for everyone keeping in mind the focus on, everyone being involved. We have everyone being heard and contributed to, and everyone keeping in mind of that. However, I think a dedicated person to that would really keep that focused, and yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, and Tyler, please.
Hey guys, thanks for coming in. I just have one question, and this often comes up for young people. And council is an organisation to engage with you as an organisation, obviously, and then in general as young people.
I think, personally going through the climate education program, that's helped me to become engaged more, and I can share my ideas more openly. So obviously that's one way to come through is through schools, but also just in communities and through that children already trust and can share their ideas to.
So trust is number one.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Bronte. It's not easy sitting at the end there, and it's a bit apprehensive, but we don't bite, so you're welcome back anytime you like. So thank you for making the effort coming in. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have Rosie, Bella and Ava of free period products in libraries and how this works in other parts of the country. No. Outside? Thanks, Katie. Yep. That's good. You're right in the hot. Rosie, Bella and Ava. Is that right?
Thank you so much.
We're 3 year 13 students from Te Punawai Waipapa Hagley College. Bella. And today we will be advocating for free sanitary products to be provided in all Ōtautahi libraries. So the issue that we are wanting to address is period poverty, which we want to highlight as a human issue, not just a female issue. We are not a minority. Period poverty is growing continuously in Aotearoa, with an estimated 1 in 12 students affected by it each month. The gender pay gap is also a very relevant issue in New Zealand, and women struggling to pay for sanitary products is an issue that men do not have to deal with. This is an obvious way to ease the blow of inflation, especially during a cost of living crisis. We don't believe all period products should be provided free. People have to be paid for making them, but toilet paper and soap are. So why are menstrual products not? They are equally vital to one's necessary sanitation processes, so why are we picking and choosing? This feels discriminatory to women.
We feel that libraries are an ideal place to supply these products because they are already a trusted and safe space for many in the community. They are well used by students and a diverse range of homeless who need somewhere warm to go. They are a safe and trusted space, and this initiative would support women in having a day with dignity instead of a day with shame.
We've conducted a survey around our high school, which already has free period products provided by the Ministry of Education in all the bathrooms. We discovered the following: 97% of our respondents who products in our bathrooms. 70% said that this would encourage them to spend more time in public libraries. 65% of people said that having period products at school does help them out financially. People clearly feel strongly about this. Here are some key takeaways from personal comments. Occasionally, this is especially important for trans men, where discretion helps minimise body dysmorphia. Finance can be a real barrier to people meeting their own needs, and this is especially supportive of younger girls.
This is not a new initiative. Most high schools and tertiary the Ministry of Education. While this can provide support to students, we must also support older women and those not studying.
Other councils around New Zealand already do this, meaning that it is very achievable. Auckland and the Upper North councils provide these products freely, and Waimakariri, Kaiapoi, Rangiora and Oxford libraries all do. These examples clearly show that this initiative is doable, and it is time that the Christchurch City Councils stepped up.
Because period poverty is real. This initiative is an achievable win that will remind 50% of the population in Christchurch that they are respected. And finally, our research shows that this will encourage young people back into our libraries and maximise the reach of these community institutions. Are there any questions or comments?
Hey team, thanks so much for coming in. That was one of the best I've seen of people coming to the table. I've got a question around the thought processes around just confining it to libraries. Have you thought about extending it out to further council facilities?
Yeah, so initially we were going to extend this out to all council-run facilities in Christchurch, like pools and sports centres and libraries as well. But the limitation there is that of things are quite costly to use. And I know personally, as a student who studies in Turanga quite often, I do see a lot of homeless people who are just looking for somewhere warm to go. And these women need these products as well, which is why I feel that libraries are kind of the ideal place.
Also because of cost, and we wanted to consider that the council might not be able down to just one set of council-run places.
Good question, good answer. Thank you so much for coming in. Very well done.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, now we have David Hay online from Feed Families Not Pokies. He's going to talk about the current regulatory framework and our gambling and TAB policy. Hello, David.
Kia ora. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Very good. I'll ask Katie to go through the slides. You've got the first one up there. So just to introduce myself, from 2011 to 2014, I was at Auckland Council, Principal Advisor in the Social Policy Unit, and I was responsible for amalgamating the 7 pre-existing Class 4 and TAB venue policies into one for the new Auckland Council. So I wound up knowing much more about pokies than I ever thought I needed to. So next slide, please.
David, sorry, David, just speak up a little bit, please, if you wouldn't mind. Just a little bit louder.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
That.
Good on you.
Yeah, next slide, please. So Christchurch has had a sinking lid policy since the Act was introduced in 2003, the Gambling Act. And over the period of time after I left council, I have discovered, by working with various groups in South Auckland and around the country, that sinking lids are not sinking as fast as they should. And this is largely due to decisions made by the Department of Internal Affairs. So I'll go through 2 cases of that and what we have done about it. So next slide, please. Case 1 is Waikiwi relocations. So in 2013, the High Court allowed the Waikiwi Tavern in Invercargill to relocate a short distance and to keep the 18 machines that it had. Under the Act, as passed, it should have reduced to 9 machines. The High Court judge concluded that the relocation would not constitute new venue because the change in location is minor, the name of the tavern ownership management remained the same, and everybody would think that the public would regard it as being the same venue. It's worth noting that, of course, this is a venue operated by the Invercargill Licensing Trust, so it's somewhat different from many other venues. Next slide, please. Later the same year, the Act was amended so that local authorities could have the decision on whether to allow venues to relocate. And a few months later, in April 2014, a DIA official wrote to Pub Charity saying that this High Court precedent could exist alongside changes to the Act, providing the word relocation was disregarded in the amended parts of the Act. Next slide, please. So DIA then started to apply that High Court precedent contrary to the meaning of the Act, and allowed 24 Waikiwi relocations. 22 of them were 18 machine venues, 21 in districts with sinking lid policies, 4 in Christchurch City. All 4 were 18 machine venues. Next slide, please. So we went through Te Araturi, which is a service provided by the Community Law Centres Association of New Zealand, and got 2 excellent barristers to take the case on. Next slide. And the High Court decision was very favourable. Justice Matthew Palmer described Waikiwi as a workaround and accepted that it would undermine the purpose of the Act as amended in 2013. However, that declaration did not undo the Waikiwi decisions that had been previously made. The High Court decision was appealed by the Gaming Machine Association of New Zealand and upheld by the Court of Appeal in February 2025, so that workaround is no longer available. Next slide, please. We'll go to the second case. So the Gambling Act says that if a licence is not held for 6 months, a venue may either own machines under section 94.2, and then only if it can get a territorial authority consent under section 98B. So there's a process. You can see I've mapped it out. The gambling ceases within 4 weeks. The licence holder must notify the secretary and must surrender the licence. And then if no new licence is held for 6 months, a TA consent is required. But there is a fishhook. Next slide, please. To do with that, that's the previous slide. So we can go, we seem to have skipped one. Yes, there, thank you. Under section 79(1)(a), the secretary can extend that initial 4-week period. And the Act doesn't say on what basis or why, but any use of that power always extends the 6-month period before TA authority consent is required. Next slide, please. So this is information obtained under the OIA and uncontested when we eventually took it to court. 463 requests were made for these non-activity extensions, 363 were granted, 184 venues, 303,000 pokie machines right across New Zealand, everywhere that was available. Next slide, please. So in Christchurch, 68 requests were granted, 21 venues, nearly 340 odd machines. One venue, Ted's Bar, now Armadillo's Hallswell, received 6 extensions over 6 years. This venue had burned to the ground in 2013 and remained a vacant lot for 5 years. Nevertheless, DIA renewed the licence every year and extended the inactivity periods over that time. Next slide. So we took this to Te Araturi and got lawyers from Stout Street Chambers. Next slide. They were wonderful, by the way. and 5 separate causes of action. The first 3 are most material. We say that the Secretary cannot issue an activity extension where gambling has ceased or will not resume under the existing licence. Second, without considering the Territorial Authority's Class 4 venue, and may not extend it if the venue has failed to get an alcohol licence or renew its alcohol licence, because that's under completely separate acts that the Secretary has no authority over. The 2 last causes of action are more of a technical nature. I won't go into those.
Yep. Keep it going, David. You've gobbled up all your time, but fire through it, please.
But this is not much longer. So we took that to the High Court. We got a favourable comment that this extension should not be a method of getting around sections 92 and 98. So that's a reduction in the number of machines or requirement for territorial authority consent. We think this should be a mandatory consideration, so we have appealed that decision to the Court of Appeal. That was heard on the 26th of May, and we are currently awaiting a decision. So, final slide, please. So the effective sinking lid policy since the Act was introduced has been a slow, steady decline in the number of Class 4 electronic gaming machines. We think that that decline has not been fast enough, and particularly over the past 10 years, it has slowed. So the purpose of taking these is to ensure that the Act is interpreted and applied as it was written, as Parliament intended, and as and with respect to local authorities' sinking lid policies, if they have them. Whew. Any questions?
No, thank you. Sorry, David, you've actually used up all your time.
Yeah.
Clear what you put forward. Thank you.
You're welcome. If the CEO or members of council staff wish to follow up or require any further information, they're most welcome to contact us.
Thank you very much. Good to see you. Thank you. Okay, so now we'll hear from Zoran Rokovic, who's going to talk to us about the comments around tolling residents outside Christchurch and the relationship between districts, as well as the late to their cars. Good morning. Still good morning. Yep.
Mr. Mayor and councillors, thank you very much for letting me speak this morning. My name is Zoran Rakovic. I'm standing in this year's election as independent in Selwyn electorate, and as part of my campaign, I knocked on 8,000 doors so far and spoke with thousands of people. One topic emerged that many people told me that they work late at the hospital and they feel vulnerable when they have to walk late at night or early morning from the hospital to their cars parked in the neighborhoods. Often they walk in groups, but eventually they have to disperse into individuals walking to their cars. Suggest that perhaps the council and the hospital could get together and have a conversation over how parking could be solved, so these very important people who do hard work for our children, our parents, ourselves feel safer and less vulnerable after they finish their late night shifts and are tired, want to go home, but they have to worry if they're going to be threatened while of charging Selwyn residents to enter Christchurch. I'm going to speak for myself. I want to welcome everybody to Selwyn, free of charge. You're welcome to come and experience our hospitality, and on on that, I would like to invite all councillors here in the conversation at the famous Two Fat Possums in West Melton.
Thank you very much. I know I've got Tim as a question, but I'd just like to get you up to speed on that, and I'm totally in favour with what you're saying about the hospital staff. The area that was the old boiler house at just north of Parakiori, it's vacant at the the hospital put it through to see if they could, and we, through one reason or another, we hurried it through. The ball is totally in their court just to put a couple of asphalt bits down at the back of the footpath so stones don't go all over the footpath, and then they can park cars there. And I'd say they get 100 in there, and it's all for hospital staff, and it's only 13 or 15 metres from the door, 20 metres from the door. So chased up with the person at the hospital, and he hasn't come back to, well, they shouldn't say he, they haven't come back to me, but that is an absolutely perfect place to help solve the problem that you're alerting us to. So we are on it, and we've done our bit and handed them the resource consent and said, here, go do it, and they haven't done it. So just to put you in the picture.
Great.
And Timothy, please.
Yeah, thank you. And I suspect if I anywhere, but we'll go there. But two quick things with regards.
Use your gold card on the bus.
Thank you. With regards to the hospital, be really interesting if you asked to see the audit and risk committee's health and safety plan and their risk analysis on their staff, for safe parking, etc. That would be a really important thing. Issue, not ours. Just however, it is an issue. But I'm really fascinated, what are your thoughts with regards to hospitality workers and cleaners, etc., who have the same risks, but no one seems to mention?
I haven't personally heard from anyone from that trade. I did hear from the health people, and I wanted to bring the evidence here from the people you mentioned, but you have a valid point there.
Thank you very much. Cheers, and good luck with the election.
Yeah,
thank you.
Fair comment. Thank you for coming in, and I will chase up again this person. I'm sure we'll get the results sooner or later, because
Thank you. If sorry to interrupt.
I'm sure our favourite press reporter will start going putting some pressure on somewhere around the hospital.
Yeah. if you share the phone number, I could give them a call as well.
Yeah, fair enough too. Okay. Okay, so now we're here from Murray, John and Marnie from Keep Our Assets, who are here to talk about proposal from DP World and Ngāi Tahu to take over operations of the Littleton Port Company. Good morning.
Good morning. Morning. Thank you for agreeing to hear us at such short notice. My name is Murray Horton. I'm the convener of Keep Our Assets, COA. This is my colleague, Marnie, who was our mayoral campaign candidate 2016-2019. I would like to start by doing something unprecedented and congratulate the council on, there you go, on actually extending within the last week the public assets of Christchurch, namely by buying Garrick Park in Woolston and saying that this is now adding to the green space, recreational space available to the people of Christchurch. So thank you very much. I'm afraid that's the end of the good news compared to an inch forward and going a mile back. The proposal to take over the revenue stream of a Littleton Port Company is nothing more than privatisation by stealth using backdoor methods. It's our opinion, and it's certainly not unheld by us alone, that control is just as important as ownership. And why would you allow to contract out such a vital public asset? The other point that I'd make here, any the elected representatives of the people of Christchurch who actually own the port. You own it on our behalf. It's not owned by CCHL, contrary to what some may think. It's not owned by council officials, and it's not owned by the business sector. It's owned by the people of Christchurch, and you represent us as the owners of the port. Nobody campaigned at the 2025 local body election on contracting out the revenue stream of the Littleton Port Company. Mandate to do what is being proposed. Some of you actually signed a pledge that we put up on Keep Our Assets, and we would ask that you keep you to that. Involvement of Ngāi Tahu we don't think makes it any more palatable. In fact, we think that it adds insult to injury, dressing it up respectably. We are also aware that this is not happening in isolation, that behind closed doors there is a review going on about the ownership and possible sale of a naval, and that is to be maybe sold to the public Littleton. Once again, no mandate. We see this as being a 1-2 punch. CCHL manages on our behalf a total of 6 assets. What's happening with the port company and what's happening with the Naval effectively means that 1/3 of their portfolio of assets is under threat of being sold or leased out. I'm also, what I do for a paid job is I'm the organiser for the campaign against foreign control of Aotearoa Kafka, so I take an interest in foreign-owned companies. Dubai is part of the United Arab Emirates, and they are an extremely shonky outfit. I did a simple good old AI search yesterday and came up with keywords concerning allegations of human rights violations, labour exploitation, military involvement in foreign conflicts in places like Sudan, and regional geopolitical disputes. Even Jeffrey Epstein gets involved in there. They're a shonky outfit. You get judged with a personal analogy, that my wife and I own what used to be called in the good old days a quarter-acre section. It's a very valuable asset, and we've got the rates bill to prove it. And with monotonous regularity, we receive unsolicited proposals to buy the place out. Nobody's actually offered to lease it, but we receive lots of unsolicited proposals to buy it out. And with monotonous regularity, I put those unsolicited proposals in the yellow bin. So I recommend that you do precisely the same with this. Thank you very much.
Just to say that long term we do need to make constitutional changes to stop this kind of thing happening over and over again, so that CCHL moves from managing a portfolio of commercial assets and investments to stewarding strategic infrastructure, networks and systems and the invested capital on behalf of present and future generations. But in the short term, what's required is that Council enforce a council-controlled organisation. The narrative that you can only suggest is false, and that is shown by the fact in the Local Government Act there is a specific provision that allows you to direct a council-controlled organisation to include council policies in its statement of intent. It's a matter of great concern. In Performance Committee, you received a staff assurance that the draft statement of intent aligns with your February letter of expectation. It does not. There are 10 substantive points that are omitted, including the fact that there's a very weak incorporation of mana whenua partnership expectations, and no wonder they're desperate and turn to this kind of solution. Is that there is no commitment from CCHL to manage the portfolio in a manner consistent with continued public ownership on behalf of the residents of Christchurch, and this needs to change.
Kia ora koutou. Just to finish off with a few quick points. The people of Christchurch don't want this. Consistently, year after year, decade after public opinion polls, over 70% do not want to sell the city assets, and yet this keeps coming back year after year after year. So I'm saying, proposals to either sell the asset or, in this case, to privatise the revenue stream from the asset. This is just crazy. Why is this happening year after year after year? And as Murray pointed out, of its own volition, going out to prepare a case to privatise Enable. Enable is an incredibly valuable asset, and it will become a much more valuable asset when the US and China are shooting each other's satellites out of orbit, which is where the next World War will come. When those satellites go out of orbit, there'll be no internet access. That will be provided by cables, and that will be an incredibly valuable asset, and that should be something that the council protects for the people of Christchurch. So the last point I'll make is, it's not just the revenue stream that helps to keep our rates down, but it's the increase in capital value of these assets. Last year alone, $500 million. $500 million. If we had sold their assets, all that money would be in the private sector. But no, it's in the books of the Christchurch City Council. It gives us it strengthens our financial position tremendously. So we're saying on all levels, this is wrong and it needs to be brought under control, because it is not working in the best interests of what the people of Christchurch want. It's working for others. And I think the others, the unsolicited offer that's come forward, I know damn well, I'm sure the mayor and probably a third of the councillors have known for 2 years that these discussions were going on, and yet the people of Christchurch were being kept in the dark. I just don't think it's...
The age-old question is quo vadis, who governs?
Who governs?
And we say, you govern, not CCHL, you govern. You're elected by us, you govern on our behalf, you own these assets on our behalf, you govern. Decision has to be made here.
Yeah. Thank you, but I can assure you that I knew nothing about this before that came to us. Thank you. It came to CCHL. Thank you.
By the way, the minutes don't quite reflect what we've just said.
All right, yeah. Okay. Now we have David Lynch, who's going to speak to us about a small sapling tree. About the removal of a historic redwood tree. David, good to see you.
I do have a handout, Mr. Mayor.
Quality paper again, hopefully.
How did you know?
Redwood tree paper?
I don't think so. Thank you. No, it's fine. I do have some slides that have been sent through earlier that, if they can be shown, that'd be great. Maybe if we just hold that.
Okay, David, I was going to, as soon as you were going to start talking, I say, no, David, you've only got 5 minutes. But as you have been sitting down the back and seen some people be more than 5 minutes, the ice I'm skating on is actually not even there. Within reason, please.
Thank you. Yep, but they've got it already. I'm speaking today in my private capacity, representing my family, which has owned 135 Heaton Street for the past 35 years. It is with genuine sadness that I confirm the sequoia tree, commonly known as a redwood, which was planted on our property approximately 120 years ago and has stood at the entrance to Heaton Intermediate School since the school first opened, will be removed next Wednesday. Follows a period of marked decline, first became evident about a decade ago. Over the past 10 years, a number of qualified arborists have monitored the tree's condition and consistently reported progressive deterioration. Although the tree is not at immediate risk of falling, we have obtained legal advice and have been strongly encouraged to act proactively given the scale of the decline, the tree's proximity to the and the potential liability should its conditions worsen unexpectedly. After careful consideration and considerable deliberation, our family has made a difficult decision to proceed with its removal. We fully recognise the historical, cultural and emotional significance the redwood holds, not only for the school community, but for the residents of Heaton Street, and many thousands of people have passed it daily over generations. Its presence has been a defining feature to the early Elmwood era. Tree Tech have been engaged to undertake the two-day removal next Wednesday. By addressing this meeting and with the expectation of media coverage, our family hopes the community clearly understands the sole reason for the tree's removal is the significant decline and the associated risk it poses in the future. Furthermore, by speaking publicly ahead of the removal next week, we in advance rather than learning of the tree's fate when they drive down the street next week. Our intention is to manage the process with respect, care and full regard for the deep affection so many people hold for this remarkable tree, particularly the generations of children who have once walked past it on their way to school and who now as adults return to Heaton Intermediate to has long been part of the neighbourhood's heritage. It was originally planted by Sir Heaton Rhodes as part of his Elmwood estate, 50-acre domain of orchards, paddocks and ornamental trees established by the Rhodes family. Many of the estate trees were imported exotics planted as prestigious specimens to signal refinement, permanence and a connection to the wider world. By the early 1910s, Christchurch Rhodes began subdividing the estate in 1914. The subdivision led to the formation of Heaton Street, Circuit Street, Alistair Ave and the surrounding residential neighbourhood, and ultimately the establishment of Heaton Intermediate School. In 1919, a 6.0 hectare block of the estate was purchased jointly by the Christchurch Council, Waimari County Council and the New Zealand Government for the establishment of the Elmwood Park. The redwood has therefore stood in the area's early history. The tree's decline and the contributing factors. The decline of the tree was primarily driven by a significant root damage caused during the 2013 Orion cable trenching works along Heaton Street. Excavation occurred within the critical root zone, severing major structural feeder roots responsible for stability, nutrient uptake, and began to exhibit progressive dieback from around 2015, with the decline accelerating over the past decade as the compromised root system could no longer sustain the canopy's health or structure integrity. Arborists have consistently advised that this root damage was the initiating factor that led to the tree's long-term deterioration and eventual failure and risk. I first contacted Orion on the 4th of February, and they responded to confirm that a 11 kV cable had been laid in 2013 to meet increased demand in the area. I have recently contacted Orion to inform them that the tree will be removed next week. If we could just move to some of the slides, I'll quickly speak to those. If we can flick through those, thank you. This shows effectively what you see from Heaton. Canopy is now dead, and that is on the side that the excavation occurred. Next slide, please. This is a tree we've decided in the lead up to its removal next week to light it, to symbolically show at night the extent of what we've now had to confront. Next slide, please. And that slide, please. And next slide, please. That's on the side coming out of Heaton Intermediate School, which isn't as badly affected, but is now starting to show decline. Next slide, please. Again from the school, and I think one more slide. This actually demonstrates on the street. We are pleased to observe when the cable was laid along Papenry Road earlier this year to service increased demand at St George's, that a significant tree at the corner of Papenry Road and McDougall Avenue was protected by drilling through the root ball rather than trenching. Furthermore, Tree Tech's arborists were engaged specifically to monitor and minimise any impact on that tree. This would indicate that the limitations evident in 2003 with the current approach reflecting a more structured, transparent and technically sound process than was applied when this trench was dug in Heaton Street. So in honouring this remarkable tree, our focus now is on ensuring that the tree's legacy continues through propagation, if possible, and through the careful repurposing of its timber so that its 120 years of stored carbon and Scion, a specialist forestry laboratory with regards to propagation, and we intend to hopefully approach the Botanic Gardens to explore whether they might be willing to provide a future home for a young tree, allowing the heritage of the redwood to endure as part of the city's living heritage. In doing so, we hope not only to honour the original tree's place in history of Elmwood and the city and its connection to Sir Heaton Roads, but also to ensure that the story can be meaningful and accessible to the wider community for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And it's sad that that this has happened, but you've certainly been keeping an eye on it for a very long time. And it's also good to see that what we're doing with some trees now, big ones, are drilling through it. And I knew that had been going on for a while. So I think what you've the solution you come up with to propagate some is you with that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming in. Right, now we have deputations by appointment, and this is for 10 minutes. Waimari School, please. Chris, Lindley and Kylie on behalf of Waimari School, who are here to speak about item 7, Tillman Ave Street School. And there is
Katoa, thank you for this opportunity, and good morning, councillors. My name's Chris Panther, Tumwaki Principal of Waimari School. To my right is Kylie, our presiding member, and we have apologies this morning from Lindley, who couldn't be here. I'm not going to take a whole lot of your time. We're here to ask for your help. Am I clicking slides, or are they happening for me? There it is there. Tillman Avenue is a very small cul-de-sac off Blythe Road. Strohan, there's 8 driveways plus ourselves. We are a school of 350 students, and this is what Tillman Ave looks like most mornings. This is not a new problem. I'm told this has been a problem for more than 20 years, and we are looking for a more permanent solution than we currently have. We have 2 particular staff members who have assured me, who have worked at the school, obvious efforts. Community pleas to our community in itself, staff out in high-vis vests, signalling safety concerns, double parking, parking on yellow lines at the end. We have had parking wardens and infringement people out there regularly, often. Things get better while those people are standing there. They were there as recent as yesterday, and there were no... Can't see down the end of the street here as I'm standing at the end, and this is happening right in front of me. Also, the photo, the line of cars on the left is not parking. Every single one of those is double parked. There's parking on the inside of them. We've spoken with our students who more and more treat this as a court to cross directly. So they'll go from one side of the street, running across to jump in mum or dad's car, often than not through the right, who are just unaware that this is a road. So it is just simply unsafe. Earlier this year, we've installed a gate at the back of our school, providing West Tom Street, which is parallel to Tillman, as a far more effective entrance point. We've had mixed success. People that live there have certainly walked through it. We have not been successful as moving cars. Explored student incentives as well, but to be fair, students are not the ones driving the cars. We're asking today for your support of a school street trial. This first came to our attention via a 7 Sharp media piece earlier this year for a school up in Auckland went down this process. We understand this will be the first for Christchurch, and we are well cul-de-sac. We are looking to close it. If you can see where the paving is, there'll be barrier arms there. We will supply a staff member who will stand there and open and close access to residents, emergency vehicles, tradespeople of residents. We have disabled parking at the school. All of those people will still be able to have full access. What it shuts down is that drop-off. There's 2 specific times, so and the council staff, and I believe you have a report about those details about when that is. So we will be putting a staff member on that barrier arm. We already operate a Kia crossing just to the left of this. It is really, I'm just seeking your support to stop this nonsense, really. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. That's very good and clear. Kelly David Yanni.
Thank you. You knew I'd bring that up. My question is about, over the last 20 years, have there been any dangerous incidents? Have children been hit? Cars been damaged? Any of that sort of thing that you're aware of?
So there's no specific incidents involving children. My office looks straight up Tillman, and I'm regularly seeing near calls.
Yeah.
What we don't want to do actual incident, we're trying to get ahead and be proactive.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense. And the other question is just unintended consequences. What do people who don't drive into the street, where do they go? Do they park in surrounding streets and walk and pick up their children?
Effectively, yes. So there are a number of side streets that are totally available and would provide a 3-minute walk to school. West Tom is the major one. Then we've opened up a pedestrian gate at the back for that. A much wider street, much more parking. There's a bridge that comes up and over the railway bridge.
Over bridge for a 5-year-old to walk over.
Yes. plus Blythe Road, and I know the council team have a map that they can perhaps show you about their thinking around the flow-on effects.
Yeah. And just a final question: have you had any success in explaining to the kids that their parents are not to come into?
Yes, but also it's not a kid's responsibility to tell their parents to park safely.
Peer pressure is good.
Thank you, Kelly.
Good morning. I'm also a former parent of Waimaori school children and a former chair of the board. My association spanned 18 years. My thoughts are, my question is, do you think that 6 P3 parks is sufficient, recognising the volume of traffic? And the second question is around noticing that the report recommends different time durations in the morning and the afternoon. And having observed a lot of parents running up at the last minute and dropping off, the moment those gates open, there's possibility that a flood of cars will come in right on 8:50 because they can, and yet it's half an hour at the end of the day. Any thoughts on those 2 issues?
Excellent question, thank you. We're proposing a trial, or we've asked for a trial, so for 6 months to perhaps iron out those details. We think it will. Points. The morning is different in terms of people getting away to work. Afternoon, the limited car spaces that are already there are normally filled by 2:15. So people are trying to work around that.
Okay, David, please.
Thank you, Chris, for coming in. Also, my 2 children went to the school, so I know the situation very well, and I can attest to the traffic chaos that you see. Trial period. My understanding is that it will probably start term 2 of next year. What's your understanding when it starts?
My understanding is it's term 3.
Term 3 this year? Fantastic.
So it's in a few weeks' time.
Because I note that the time period for the trial is 6 months. A lot of that will be over the crossover of potentially the Christmas holidays. Would it be more beneficial to you and the school if we changed that slightly to term 1 of next year?
I'm really happy with the 6 months. I think we're going to see enough progress quickly, and certainly I'm keen to keep my residents happy. I wouldn't want to extend a trial unnecessarily. I think we're going to see quickly if this does what we want it to do.
Fantastic, thank you for that. And I can assure you I've spoken to a number of the residents, including the business on the corner, Kelly Rush Architects, and they are in support. So.
Yeah, thank you. No connection to the school, no kids there.
First
Went there,
one.
didn't go there myself. My grandparents didn't go there. So thank you for coming in. I'm just trying to understand, like, if we restrict parking, pick up and drop off on Tillman, then if you look at Blythe Road, there's not much space down there either. So I'm just wondering what thought has gone into those, like, where will people go?
Sure. So West Holm is parallel to Tillman. So rather than, if you're coming up Blythe Road and turning left and another, I don't know the distance, 100 metres and take the next left. And West Holm has a heap more parking. It's a wider street and much more available, and that's why we've put the gate down the back.
Okay.
And we have a sealed scooter track that people can walk up.
Cool. So just the second question from me is, so we've got this kind of contradiction where the government has enabled spaces as minimum requirements, and we're seeing a huge impact with cars on streets where people are struggling for space. At the same time, we're seeing the impact around local schools, for example, like you've presented this morning. Have you talked to the Ministry of Education about what the central government response is to the idea of having more density but less space for safety? Look at things like additional property purchase for your school to offset some of the impacts of...
Mate, you have any three questions you've got in there? That's enough.
I think the very short answer is no. I haven't spoken to the ministry about this. The advice that I've had is this is a council issue around Tillman.
Yep.
Right.
Excellent.
So can I just check, like, can we talk to the Ministry of Ed at some point? Because this is an emerging issue that is going to get worse unless we take a high-level strategic approach.
Have come up with a trial for this. I love trials because if you're better off to try it and spend a fortune on consultants. Try it, see what happens, come back to us and say this was a fizzer or this was the best thing we ever did. We won't know until you come up with it. So thank you very much. And Victoria.
Oh, just one final one. My colleague David mentioned the architects on the corner. There's also a private gym, and I can't see anything in the report that shows any engagement with who are coming in and out at all times of the day.
Staff may be easier to answer that, but certainly there's been a letterbox drop. We held a street meeting at the beginning of this term with all the residents, which we hosted. The gym chose not to attend, and it is our understanding that that gym only operates early in the morning. And isn't going to be affected by that, would be my understanding. Staff might have a different answer.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay, thank you so much for coming in. Very good to see you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4, presentation. And I'm happy to move the confirmation of previous minutes, open in PX, and Kelly is happy to second it. All of those in favour? Aye, against, thank you, that's carried. Now we get on to staff reports, item 7, and I know Victoria is very happy to move this, Tillman Street School. And anyone? David is happy to second it. Do we want to hear? Thank you, Jim. Okay, we'll just go straight to questions, shall we? Mel, are you happy with that?
I just wanted to know if the community board's been talked to about this, because we've just had the presentation earlier from Banks Peninsula about community boards not knowing decisions that get made at council, so until after.
Yeah, so community board was informed with a memo last December, so December 20.
Okay. Tyler?
Hey guys, just quickly. I know that usually the school rushes, because I'm the school drop-off guy. St Albans is very similar to Tillman. 8:30 is when it's going to be manned by staff, correct? Okay, and the teachers usually go out and man it at 8:30 on the dot, not necessarily at 8:25 before the parents start rushing in.
Yeah, so they'll operate at those given. That resolution 7 around that ability for the head of transport to be able to adjust those times if we do find that it's a wee bit too tight or parents are arriving a wee bit early, that sort of thing, so we don't have to come back to you about adjusting it by 5 minutes.
So alluding to Victoria's questions, you could actually have some adjustments based on the feedback from staff at the school. Okay.
Yep, cool. Not set in concrete. And Victoria got one more.
Yeah, just in relation to the P3 parking and knowing familiar with the street and the volume of traffic on Blythe, which is a border with the Papanui ward. Was there any consideration given also to P3 on West Home Street, given that there could be quite a bit of diversion of traffic around there, and will the delegations to the head of transport also include that, should it be required?
So that delegation sits with Community Board. So the Blythe Road report's going to Waimea Community Board later this month for the Blythe Road. We have looked at West Home. At this current stage, it doesn't look like we need it, but because this is a trial, we'll be keeping an eye on West Home as well, alongside the school, and we can look to do that if needed.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Right. Oh, Yanni.
Yeah, thank you. Have we talked to the Ministry of Education, and if so, what's their response or feedback?
No.
So why do we not talk to the Ministry?
In regards to...
It's a council problem, and I think we can work together and get a council solution. If the rot sets in, we might go to the Ministry.
Right. But I mean, so the Ministry, in terms of like their strategic approach to safety outside schools, have we got any idea what their thinking is or what their future planning is?
So not in terms of the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Transport, obviously, with the set of speed limits rule, changed that in 2024 so that we could introduce lower speed limits around school. So that's kind of been pushed by the Ministry of Transport. Council's now delivered all of their 30k variable speed zones outside schools, and then we continue to work with schools individually on transport safety improvements for children getting safely to school. So everything that we've been doing is what council has the ability to influence on the street. Anything else would be
so without knowing the exact location, in detail, is there any has there been any look at strategic property purchase to alleviate some of the concerns with the congestion?
No, there hasn't.
We're doing the trial. The staff have done one shed load of work, and it's good. They worked in with the school, and I think this is a very good way forward to see if something works. We'll soon know if it doesn't, and they'll come back and tell us. So thank you. Is there any discussion on this? Tim?
I just want to commend the school. You've done everything right. You've had the street meeting, etc. Being a parent on a crossing for Keshmi Primary and being given hand signals by parents that were, say, slow and looking after other people's children. I commend what you're doing and thank you for working with our staff. Cheers.
Victoria.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you from me also for taking this initiative, and I'm really happy to support it. And as a former chair of the board and parent spanning 18 years, I can attest to the absolute chaos and dangerous manoeuvring that goes on at the gate. And just share a personal anecdote, as I was requested by the principal many years back to go and speak to a parent who was a repeat offender. I can tell you it wasn't particularly pleasant, and I suffered a barrage of personal abuse at me for daring to suggest that she not double park in front of yellow lines. So I encourage all of my colleagues to support this trial. Thank you.
Aaron?
Yeah, once again, just supporting that. I can't do any role dropping on this because I've never been on a school board and hardly went to school. But as my colleagues will attest to, I just want to thank the school for your work on this and the staff on doing something different in our city around school safety outside of school. This is quite different, and I look forward to seeing the results. It makes perfect sense in a location like this, so let's see how it goes. I'm looking forward to the feedback.
And Yanni, and then David.
Yeah, I too support the trial approach. I think it's a really sensible way to look at coming up with a solution. I am concerned that we don't seem to understand what's happening in terms of the bigger picture and seem to have no strategic approach to working with government. The different government agencies have such contradictions between what they're each trying to achieve, and what we see is things get left for council to pick up and the cost falls on the community. So I think this is a really good initiative. I'm really supportive of doing the trial. There are a number of other schools that have similar issues around congestion and the lack of availability of space for people to safely drop off or pick up their kids. And I do think we need to do some work around what's happening with the intensification and schools who are in these similar circumstances. But today's about the trial. I'm really happy to support it, and I do look forward to getting the results. Thank you to everyone in the school for the work that they've done on it.
Okay. Oh, David, please.
Look, just a thank you to staff and to Chris and the wider school community for bringing this to us. Pleased to support it today, and I look forward to the P3 resolutions or motions coming to the community board, we'll work together on moving those forward. Thank you.
Right, we've had discussion, we've got a mover and second, so I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you, that's carried. We will now have a break for a cup of tea and come back at 20 to 12. Thank you. Greetings, welcome back everyone. So now we're up to item 8, Public Transport Infrastructure Toolkit, and Gemma's going to talk to us about it, please.
Yep, so here to talk about the Public Transport Infrastructure Toolkit and seeking approval for a consistent direction in the application of public transport priority across the network. And this follows the briefing earlier in June last month. So I'm happy to take the report as read and just take any questions.
Okay, Mark's got it. Oh, you want to move it, do you, Mark? And you're happy to second it, Andre? Okay, no real... Celeste?
Thank you, this is really great. Just in terms of the bits that it captures, does it talk about the parts of the public infrastructure around things like bus exchanges and things like that? I know that we've probably moved on from when the master plans were created, but there was some reference to them as part of that process, and I'm not sure how we include that now.
So they're not currently included within the toolkit. It's generally more around priority on the network and moving buses more efficiently. But if there is any questions around suburban interchanges and things, we can take those separately.
Great, thank you.
Alrighty. No more questions. Any discussion? Didn't think so. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Against? Thank you. That's carried. Okay. You good? Yep. So now we're up number 9 and Capital Endowment Fund for Dog Watch. Now, Vic's going to move it and Sam's going to second it, but Vic has an amendment and John Frizzell's, or John, sorry, John, wrong John, some John is going to
one of the Johns.
Talk to it.
2 Johns.
Far away, mate.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
There wasn't one.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be quiet then.
Vic's got an amendment that she's put up and
Yes, we support that. It's good
you
attention to detail.
just want to explain it to councillors, the amendment, please?
Yes, the amendment is that we approve a grant conditional on demonstrating sufficient resources and a project plan for stage 1 of the development. We hadn't included stage 1 in the original recommendation. Just following on from that, stage 1 is anticipated to cost 2.7 million. The group already have 2.1 million, and in answer to Councillor Coker's question yesterday, a further 120,000 will put them quite close to their goal, and the society feel very confident that they'll be able to raise the rest of the funds. So we won't be setting them up to struggle.
Thank you, John. Vic, and then Aaron.
I just clarify, please, John, that the inclusion of stage 1 isn't new. It was actually confirmed that it was actually in your recommendation in attachment A, that the grant was conditional and applied only to stage 1, and it was just a misalignment between the attachment and the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Aaron?
Just double checking, but in the paper here under number 3.1, it says 230 Dyers Pass Road. Is it meant to be Dyers Road? Just asking. Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah, because I knew they were on Dyers Road. I was thinking, oh, they're moving to Dyers Pass Road. The coincidence. Okay,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. One job. I'll write that in my report. Thank you. Okay, so there's no more questions. Any discussion at all? No? So I'll put that... Kelly, discussion?
Yeah, no, I think this is a admirable idea. Well, it's absolutely gobsmacked to read that we euthanized 27 dogs over the past year and a half or something like that. At the same time, Auckland euthanized 6,000 dogs, which seems absolutely outrageous. So any rehabilitation we can support for dogs, I think, is a good idea. There you go.
Okay, well, with that, I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you, that's carried. Wonderful. So now we go endowment fund again for SACPAC. Okay. You want to have, who wants to? Okay, thank you. Yanni's moving and Tyler's seconding. Is there any, take it as read, is there any, yes, Victoria?
Can I just get some clarity around recommendation number 4? It's similar wording to the previous recommendation where the funding is conditional on the applicant demonstrating its sufficient resources to complete the project and the production of a project plan. This isn't a project as such, but rather a series of engagements. Can I just get some clarity around what it is that you're asking them to demonstrate in terms of completion and their ability to complete the project? What is it you're expecting there?
Yep, we are expecting, following this decision, the production of a plan detailing all of the outputs contained in this report, when they're going to be delivered, how they're going to be delivered, and the cost. We will briefly align timing and budget, and if they align, we'll allow the organisation to draw down the funds. So it's a series of projects within a programme rather than like the dog watch. It's the building of stage 1.
Okay, so we have a mover and seconder. We've had discussion. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you, that's carried. Wonderful. Number 11, waste policies, community waste disposal and litter and illegal dumping. Please. It's fairly straightforward. Yes, Tyler? Right. Yep, Mark's happy to second it. Tyler's happy to move it, Mark's happy to second it, and Aaron has got a question.
Just on the illegal dumping, how many fines or prosecutions are we doing a year currently? Yeah, but this is to address it.
Yeah, we can come back to you with that figure. It's not a large amount because the threshold for the evidence is quite high. So that's one of the things that the policy will tidy up. It will gather more detailed evidence, which will allow us, if we have to proceed to prosecution. But I can come back to you with the number through the compliance team.
Yeah, it would be good because I know the Belfast network have caught some on camera. So I think that threshold should be there with number plates and you can see the people. So it'll be good to see if they have been prosecuted or not. Thanks.
All good. Kelly.
Alec, number plates and people, if it's on camera, is that enough to prosecute someone?
Not necessarily, no, because the register keeper might not be the person that's in charge of the vehicle at the time. So it's quite a high threshold. You've really got to have identifying information. You've practically got to witness the act happening. The register keeper vehicle details, that would probably trigger a warning letter to say, look, you're the registered vehicle keeper. It was noted in this area doing X, Y, and Z. Please desist type thing, but that's not enough in itself to prosecute. No.
David, please.
Just on that point, if I got a speeding ticket from a camera, it goes to the vehicle owner. So we want to get rid of people doing illegal dumping. So what can we do to change it so that the threshold of a camera witnessing somebody illegally dumping stuff can actually be prosecuted?
So there's a couple of things. The government are reviewing the Waste Minimisation Act and the Litter Act. That was scheduled for release in July. It might now come after the election. So they will be looking at the infringements and the enforcements. So that's the lead primary form of legislation, the Act. Once we see what that update is, then we can then respond through our bylaws and our processes that we do through compliance. I think definitely, as I said earlier, the register keeper details definitely allows you to send a warning letter. You're not accusing the individual of doing it, but you're certainly sending a shot across the bows that they've been spotted. But to elevate it to the sort of level you're talking about, that would need a central government legislative change. I don't think a bylaw on its own would be enough.
Thank you, Ben. Tyler?
Just for public knowledge, because I already know the answers to these. But if, for example, somebody was cleaning up and they found address letters, names, IDs, etc. within the rubbish themselves, we still can't prosecute. Is that correct?
Yeah, generally it helps again to raise the issue with the individual in the address and make the same comment to them. Your information pertaining to your address was found. If you were illegal dumping, please desist. But no, it's not enough just to say because your letter was in that bag of rubbish that was dumped that we can then prosecute.
Including address letters, correct?
Yeah, it's still not enough. No.
Cool. And also, there's a lot in Riccarton who don't use cars to dump. They'll use trolleys, etc. I just wanted to know, and this is something, again, for public clarity, because I know the answer to, was around levels of service. So, for example, waste, litter, dumping, things like that, particularly in Riccarton, slowly on the up. How does that inform our levels of service to be able to react accordingly when things like this do happen?
So it can cut across different departments. We don't actually have a service response to that within resource recovery at the moment. Obviously, we've got the concept of the litter team, which will be part of the waste plan, which will go out for consultation in July. But it cuts into transport and or parks, and they've got level of service response times. They can tweak them, but the longer they leave the material, obviously the likelihood the pile will build up. But nor do they want to go to the same street 2 or 3 times in the one day. So there's a balance there, but it cuts across both transport and parks.
Which is probably leading to my last point. In regards to this here, obviously the policy goes across different units. Would there be potential of, in the future, including the other units within this consultation itself?
Quite clear on what you're asking.
So, for example, we've got transport who work on the footpaths, we've got parks who work in the parks for dumping most of the time, and then we've got you who's sort of an umbrella of everything. Are our units being consulted internally, and will it also be able to affect the other units if the consultation comes back? There's information that affects all of these units. How does that information feed into those units, like transport and parks, for example?
Yeah, I mean, most of the tickets will come through via either Snap, Send, Solve, but they'll get in the hybrid system one way or the other, and that's really the tool that we use to monitor and check on our response times. Now we've reacted to the particular ticket, so that system's already there.
Yeah, thanks.
Yanni, please.
So, I'm just trying to understand, in terms of the enforcement and compliance that we currently do. Are we able to, would having additional cameras help? My understanding is one of the current approaches is to put cameras in hotspots to deter the behaviour. But there's also places where we've put cameras, taken the cameras away, and then the problem's just returned straight away. And the one I'm referring to that is most recent is in Jolly Street, the little alleyway that goes through, where we had signage up, but there wasn't the monitoring that the signage referred to. Is there any additional resource that your team could use to actually get greater degrees of compliance and enforcement, given that we've got hotspots where this just seems to go on and on and on?
So again, it doesn't necessarily sit with our activity at the moment with resource recovery. It will sit more with transport and or parks. We are in the process of trialling new camera systems with AI sort of interrogation built into them, and we'll be putting them at our fixed site locations, say the community collection points on the Banks Peninsula, but we'll also put them possibly to a hotspot within the city as well to see how they respond. They are, with that modern technology, they can send you a text, they can send you a prompt to say there's an issue here. So we are looking at the technology, but ultimately you're right, if we put cameras up, somebody has to monitor them and interrogate the footage to see if there is an issue, and then backtrack to see if you can discover what time and who was involved in placing that material there.
So the other thing is, in terms of areas where we do have problems, is there any ability, like we just saw earlier today with one of the community board presentations, just putting some go slow signage, some positive behavioural reinforcement signage can possibly help in some cases. So low cost interventions that can be done relatively cheap, relatively flexibly. Is that something the team's looking at? And I mean, I raised this little alleyway in Linwood, which has had numerous complaints, and we just don't seem to be getting any traction around things like shopping trolleys being dumped there, and litter being dumped there. But is there any ability to look at additional signage or additional beautification in areas that are getting trashed?
Yeah. So part of the policy is engagement, and that includes education, information. So we will look at the collaterals we've got, and that would include signage, but it also might include the information we give to the public on the services, where they could take the material to an actual facility or engage a service rather than dumping it wherever it is they're intended to dump it. So yeah, that will form part of it. And whether we get down to that level where you would say, right, let's put up a particular sign in the sign still has to be enforceable, it still has to be legal. The social norming framework sitting behind it.
And sorry, final question from me. Is there any further work happening on the shopping trolley issue, or have we just...
That's included in the litter team, so they would be part of that. So once we get the consultation result from the public, then we'll be able to bring that back to you.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to it.
Aaron, and then Tim, and that will do.
Yeah, so I struggled with this to find anywhere in there that can give us confidence in this reducing the illegal dumping. And then as you've answered all the questions, there seems to be nothing that suggests we're going to reduce the illegal dumping, and no prosecutions if they're caught on camera, even though your car's been used in a crime, you're not held accountable, so on and so forth. So what in this paper changes any of that and can give us and the public confidence we can reduce this?
Yeah, well, I think that the litter and illegal dumping policy is the first time we've had this policy. So first of all, it sets out that it's not acceptable to council, and it's seen as a blight on sort of amenity. So that's the first thing. Then it sets out the education, engagement, and the compliance monitoring and enforcement. And then to operationalise it, we've got this concept of the litter team, which will be used to enhance the evidence gathering as well as complement the existing service levels as well. So they will be patrolling the city and the general operating area for council, and they will assist in gathering more evidence and trying to find the hotspots and deterring them before they become an issue. So it's all linked to the waste plan and the litter team.
So we will see prosecutions going forward?
Yeah, well, or we'll deter the behaviour in the first place. But ultimately, yes, enforcement is part of the response if it continues, yeah.
So we will see it. Have we kind of set a number or a reduction amount?
No, what we'll monitor is the tonnage, if you like, and the prevalence of the tickets coming through, plus the visual amenity as we travel around the city as the litter team. So we'll use all three parameters to judge whether or not we're making a difference. If there's more prosecutions, then that might be one outcome. But if we actually reduce the problem, then that's better than actually having to take people to court.
Excellent. Well done. Okay. Timothy, then David.
Thank you. Just trying, with regards to unable to prosecute with the camera evidence, is it legislation that's holding that up or preventing it, or is it council policy? Just to clear.
No, it's not council policy. It's the evidential threshold that the compliance team need to reach. That seems to be the main issue.
And that's governed by legislation?
Yes.
Thank you.
And David.
Just with regards to compliance and fines and whatnot, is that a full cost recovery? Are the fines a wet bus ticket, or are they something of measure?
No, one of the issues just now is the infringement notices are relatively small, and you can end up paying more in legal costs than you actually cover through the fine.
Okay, so how do we change that?
That's the central government revision of the Litter Act.
Okay, is there not a bylaw or something that we can introduce to actually...
We'll wait for the Litter Act review, and then if that doesn't come forward, then we would revise the bylaw. But it's a lot more powerful if it's centrally controlled.
And sorry, I might have missed. When do we expect that to come in front of us?
The Litter Act and Waste Minimisation Act was scheduled on the government programme for July, so it still might come through, but it may slip because of the election.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Right, we've got a mover and seconder. Is there any discussion, debate? Tim, Tyler, Cal.
Yeah, thank you. It's really strange, isn't it, legislation? It's bureaucracy is a fantastic thing when it works. And I just want to say thank you to Olivia and Alec for presenting this. I've got no problem with the paper. It's really, really good and well done. But legislation really kicks us until you could have 1,000 cameras and the information and the addresses which cross-pollinate with or confirm with the vehicle being used, and yet you can't we are unable to prosecute, but we're picking up the ticket, which affects ratepayers. I'd really like us to be able to somehow, when this information is going to central government, when we're working with them, that we try and get them to have one bit of legislation that all cameras, if you are found to be doing something and it's got your car registration, can be prosecuted. It's just, we're wasting time, we're wasting ratepayers' money on trying to affect something that those that are doing it will take advantage of. That's what people do. They can get away with it, so they do. So if we could look at that, it'd be really good, Bede. So thank you. Cheers.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
Tyler?
Thanks, team, so much for your work on this. And this actually reflects how much you're listening to the community on these things, because we've also advocated, many people have advocated for the litter team, and it's so pragmatic in the way that we do things. There's a couple of issues I've got with the system itself, and the first thing I've got is the siloed nature in which the way the council operates. You know, there's things where it's mandated by transport, mandated by parks, mandated by waste, and water, for example. And these are the things that make it a bit more difficult, because if you go through Snapseed and Solve, they'll send it to one team, and then the team will go, no, that's not us, that's actually transport. And then transport, oh yeah, it's us, but we also need to include water. It'd be really cool if we could actually, just get it done. And there's so many grey areas in the system, so that just highlights the issues that we've got and the community frustration that lies there. The second thing I want to talk about is there's a difference between fly tipping and just giving out free stuff, and that's actually defined by days. So if you look at semester 1 and semester 2, which my ward is heavily affected in, they'll be chucking out furniture, computer desks, computer chairs at the front. After 3 days, it actually becomes rubbish. But the problem is the students take off, so they can't get prosecuted because they're going back to Napier, Wellington, Auckland, wherever they come from, but they've left the furniture at the front of the gate. And I just want to know who picks up that bill, and obviously it's a ratepayer, because it's not going to be the landlord. So we've got a few issues obviously need to work systemically around, and I think that the Act's going to be able to change that. Riccarton is obviously picking up a lot of litter within our areas, and the more metro that Riccarton becomes, the harder it's going to be to maintain. But I really hope that levels of service are able to change through all units to be able to proactively manage these things. And I think the litter team does just that. The footpath team was actually really good a wee while ago back in Phil's old election. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the litter team does. So thank you so much, team, for your work. It's really good and really pragmatic, but there's a lot more we need to do systemically. Kia ora.
Cal?
Yeah, thanks very much for the report, Alec. Look, this illegal dumping really kind of bothers me. It's so antisocial. It makes a mess of our environment. In fact, when you read the policy statement, it says that the council has zero tolerance for littering and legal dumping, but we don't really. We're not doing enough to actually stop it. I think I read somewhere that the parks, or is it the red zone department, if you like, in parks, spend an awful lot of their time picking up illegal litter and dumping in mattresses and things like that from the red zone. People will do it where they're not being watched. It's convenient, it's lazy. There is a socio-economic element, I would imagine, to some of it. But some people, if you're dumping a mattress, it's hard to fit inside your car. You're probably going to get a trailer for that, and then you're going to dump it, somewhere. We get a lot of it in the Burwood ward, unfortunately, and I'd like to see us take a much stronger hand, if we can, to do something about this. I just think it's really antisocial, and we obviously don't have a zero tolerance for littering and illegal dumping. I think we'd like to, but I'd love to see us do more. Cheers.
Yanni, please.
Yeah, so just last week, the headline was "Welcome to Trolley Street, no fines in a year at fly tipping hotspot." And there's a photo of the abandoned rubbish and multiple abandoned shopping trolleys. I've been asking this council to do something about shopping trolleys for several years. The problem is not getting better, it's getting worse, and we need to do things differently. So I welcome the litter team. I welcome us looking at what more we can do with the use of new technologies, because clearly the current situation in some communities is completely unacceptable, that people have to tolerate the rubbish that is being dumped illegally and the shopping trolleys that are piling up without any responsibility of either the operators or of the people that are putting them there to be held to account. So I look forward to us getting more work done. I do think there's an element of urban design. For example, we have an Enliven Places budget where we spent hundreds of thousands on little alleyways in the central city to make them have some lighting, yet we've got alleyways full of rubbish in our suburbs that can't get funded through that budget, right? That we could put in murals, we could upgrade the lighting, we could put some nice signage and make things more attractive. So I think there's a combination of things that we need to do to address this issue, but I do think we're heading in the right direction of recognising that there's a gap and that we need to do more across different council units. So I look forward to this work continuing. I think, it's important that we keep on top of this, and it's important that we look at innovative solutions to addressing what is a real nuisance in our local communities.
Mark, please.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this paper, team, and hopefully we can start to see some positive changes in our community. I like the idea of empowering the community groups to be part of our solution. I think that's really key, and it's good to see what happened recently with the Keep Christchurch Beautiful, where we've now got an agreement with them for them to be part of that solution. So hopefully through this we can start to see a better, tidier city. Hearing the university brought up by Councillor Harrison Hunt, I wonder whether there's any way for us to work with the university, for the university to be part of the solution in that area, to help to clean up after their students as they've departed the city. It would be useful for perhaps the university to take some ownership of that and help us with that. But thank you for this, and here's hoping we can start to make some serious progress, and we don't have as much passing between departments internally, and we can just get the place cleaned up.
Thank you, everyone. Good discussion. I'll put that motion. Aaron, did you have a question? Debate, sorry.
Yeah, I did.
Far away.
I'm still quite disappointed with this in our direction forward. Like Kelly said, we might take it as unacceptable, but there's certainly not a zero tolerance, I feel, for it. We haven't taken enough prosecutions. I'd brought the notice of motion around allowing people, when they see like a dumped mattress down their street and they're already going to the dump, they could take a photo, show the staff at the dump, keep it real simple and be allowed to dump the mattress. Couldn't get it through. It's about doing simple solutions to common problems, and the one around the trolleys and stuff is, let's not forget, if we're going to be honest, it's the people in the neighbourhood that are normally disrespecting their own neighbourhood, and that's really disrespectful to their other neighbours. So a percentage of a population, could be a student area, could be whatever area, but no one walks home with their groceries who lives in Spraydon and then walks over to Merivale to drop off their trolley. You'd normally do it within, or you'd take it back to the supermarket. Yeah. And that's great that you don't, but it's a behavioural issue, and it's an unacceptable behavioural issue, and I'm actually quite disappointed that we haven't got a clearer path to knocking this kind of nonsense on the head, because it is disrespectful. It does bring rats and stuff to some neighbourhoods that don't really want them, and the rubbish can be dangerous at times as well.
Tyler.
I just wanted to speak after Councillor Kewen. Thanks.
Oh, that's it. Right. Okay. So we got a mover and seconder. We've done all the discussion, debate. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Against? And Aaron against. Thank you very much. Right. We'll move on to the next one, which I am more than happy to move. Now, just to make sure that everyone's in the same wavelength, that Celeste is conflicted on this one because it's OCHT. So, Steve, how are you, mate?
Very good, thank you. Busiest day of the year for me. I'll actually take this as read if I can. It's been actually a couple of weeks since I've read it, but I'm hoping it's quite straightforward and non-controversial.
Mm-hmm.
The guts of it is we originally intended to lend 55 million with repayments out to 2048. They only drew down 42. So if we stick to the original dollar repayments every year, they'll just repay it faster than was originally intended. So the proposal in a nutshell is to stick with the original intended timeframes to ease their, to slow down the speed at which they need to replace our lending with third-party lending.
Thank you, Steve. Jake's happy to move it and Pauline's happy to second it. Is there any questions of Steve? Right, it's if I look at it as if it's got anything to do with OCHT, I don't worry about it because it's run like a well-oiled Swiss watch. Everything's good. All right, okay. So any discussion on that? No, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thanks, that's carried. Beautiful. Now we come to Aaron's notice of motion.
Happy to second.
Yeah. So, righto, here we go. Come on. We're doing well. Victoria has got a question of Aaron, I assume.
Well, actually, it might be for staff. I'm not sure who can answer it. Noting that... Thank you, gentlemen. Noticing the tie today. Thank you for dressing up for us today, Stephen. Noted. Setting a great example. Thank you. Look, noting that the bus lanes were installed along Main North Road starting from the Northcote QE2 intersection, where does the divestment continue to of that road when it comes back to council? Does it go all the way to that intersection, or is it only the Sticks Mill Bridge?
It goes all the way from QE2. Eventually, when it's handed over, it'll be the whole section from QE2 up to Dickies Road.
Okay, so with that in mind, I wonder whether there would be, what your thoughts are around when the report comes back for advice on removing the bus lanes, whether staff would consider the whole extent of that road rather than just stopping at Sticks Mill, but all the way down to QE2.
I think, Councillor, through the chair, based on the decision you made a few decisions ago around infrastructure for bus lanes, whatever we brought to you would line up with that document. So we'd have to assess the bus lanes in line with the principles that you've just agreed, and we'd bring a decision to you based on that.
Okay, thank you. So the recommendation here won't need any adjustment to be able to reflect that? It would happen automatically?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, question for you. When do we think we're going to get it vested back to us?
The last conversation, I'm not actively involved in it. The last conversation I heard, they thought it would likely be sort of 6 months, maybe slightly more. So that's the sort of time frame I'm expecting.
Yeah. And just to add to that, Mr. Mayor, we have been pushing quite hard on that as well.
Okay, I'll give you a hand. Okay. Tyler, please.
Hey guys. So the question I had was actually about the item that we had before us a few back. So how does that affect this notice of motion?
At the moment, quite simply, as elected members, you can't make a decision on what happens to that bus lane until it's officially our asset. Mm-hmm. Once it is our asset, we could bring you a paper and make a recommendation on what happens to that bus lane based on the assessment criteria in the report 2 or 3 reports ago. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. And for referring to 3.5.1, what's the notice of motion related to and within these points here? You've got parts of Garlands Road, State Highway 74, Papanui Road near Blythe, Ferry Road.
Oh, nothing. It was just trying to add context as to how busy that section of road is. I think it can be difficult to visualise it, and so I've just tried to put roads that are relatively similar to give you some sense of scale and context. That was all. Got you.
And from 2015, it looks like just above 35,000, and it's dropped in 2025 to just under 20.
Yeah, it's dropped quite significantly since the opening of the motorway. Yeah. Okay.
And the bus lanes themselves, they don't operate 24 hours.
No, they're peak hours only.
Okay. And the peak hours, have we got measurements on that? Have we got numbers on the peak hour times?
We haven't at the moment. I think what we're trying to do here was just reiterate that unfortunately we can't make a call on what happens to the bus lanes currently. Yep. But if we were to bring a report back to you once it's been gazetted to us, we'd have all that data available for you to make a decision.
Okay, and present the feasibility and things like that. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yep, thanks.
Okay, just a question from me. Can we get, because everything works one after the other, can we actually start working on doing this knowing that we're going to get this road back rather than wait 6 months, if it is 6 months, on a good day with a tailwind, and then start this? So, through you, Mr. Mayor, there's nothing stopping us collecting that data and working on that in the background.
like I said, the main hurdle is you can't make any decisions until it is gazetted.
What I'd like to see is half an hour after it's vested with us, we take them out. That's what I'd like to see.
The legal team are uncomfortable with the idea of consulting on something that we can't make a decision on. So that's the problem, and I'm not 100% sure whether we need to consult on that or not, but we can go and get clear advice on that.
I don't think we waste our time consulting on it, myself. It's just we consult on everything except down to the toilet. So we've got to make a decision. That's what we're here for. It's common sense. There's no traffic there anymore, and we're still donging people for parking in a bus lane that's never used as a bus lane because the buses are on the 2 lanes of traffic that go there 2 lanes each way. So I think we just go ahead and do it and cop the flack afterwards if people think they need to consult, because we spend too much money on consulting in this department. In this area. So, who moved it? You moved it, Aaron, and David's more than happy to second it. Is there any discussion, debate on this? Oh, sorry, carry on. Didn't see your hand. Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah, a question I said mostly for the mover, and if you'd be open to changing the wording in any way, because.
Apologies, but the notice motion's been moved and seconded, so no amendments.
No amendments, it'd be the mover changing the wording or making any noting, anything along those lines.
Sorry, not understanding orders.
Can I unmove?
Do we not do that all the time though? Okay.
Okay. The report will come back to us 30 seconds.
Okay.
After
I'm going to ask a question anyway.
Yeah, go if you like.
I mean, it talks about removing the lanes altogether, but there'll be some examples along this road where, okay, there might be sections that aren't used and don't make much sense anymore, but there's sections that would also make no sense to remove and would be just fine, like the one we're looking at now on the corner of 6 Mill Road. So the wording of it seems very clear cuts that it's removing all the lanes, rather than if there were some sections that made sense to remain, then other sections to remove.
I'm sure staff will come back.
That to me would seem like the sensible thing to investigate or review. You're reviewing the corridor, right? But this just reads as removing the bus lanes on both sides altogether. But there might be some couple of sections that make sense to keep, the others to remove.
My understanding was the staff will be coming back with a report, and their report might say, with the exception of that point and that point, possibly being the southbound at Sticks Mill and St Bede's, where they might go, hey, look, we wouldn't take it out here, but the rest is just not being used, so we would suggest. So
cool.
That's what your report would do?
That's correct, Councillor, yes.
Cool. So the report will break down the benefits of the each sections and
yes.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good. Cool. Any more questions? Any discussion, debate? So we've got to move in second, have we? Yep. So, yes?
Yes. So the removing this bus lanes, contrary to Northwest legend in Christchurch, is not my idea. It was actually the idea of some of the residents that live down there. They said, why are these still here? Because they're no longer used. I went down, I took Phil there when we did our round town trip, and we could clearly observe the bus lanes not being used. I went there yesterday. I've got photos of every bus while I was there during peak time using the main lanes. They just don't need to use the bus lanes. So the main lanes have good flow because we built 2 motorways. That's where the traffic is now. It's on the northern motorway and the western bypass. So that Main North Road used to take all of that traffic on that one road, and it was built for that. It is no longer necessary. So as a council, if we want the public to have confidence in how we change road layouts and change priority lanes, then if something is not necessary or not needed, we should not only not have it there, but we should, like the Mayor said, not be fining or towing people for an unused space. And so if you want public confidence, you'd support this. If you don't care about that, then you cannot support it.
Pauline?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, the Main North Road is the main bus corridor. Aaron Curran always says there's no one on the bus and there's no buses in the lanes, but I don't necessarily agree with that. In fact, I disagree with it. If you want to be part of a council that's forward-thinking, we won't waste staff time in doing advice on this, because we know that the buses are going to be used increasingly more, especially if there ends up with a toll on the motorway, God forbid. But, you know, the buses will be more and more used. and we will need these bus lanes in place. So there's no need to take them out. So please vote against this today.
Andre.
Thank you. Forward thinking can include reviewing corridors to make sure that they are working as we want them to. So I've definitely got an example with Halsey Road. Most of the bus lanes make sense, but there are some sections where we could probably tinker with a bit that get things flowing a bit better, but not jeopardise bus journey times at all. So I'm looking at an example like that I know is going to need a review at some stage for some sections. And I don't think there's anything that isn't forward thinking about that. There's no harm reviewing it. There are some sections here that would be totally stupid to take out. I'm looking at it on Google Street View right now. But there are some sections that don't make sense to keep. So I see no issue with the review.
Tyler.
I have been going back and forth thinking, what's the real point of this? Because, like Andre, I was really worried about both sides being taken up, and now that staff have actually said, yeah, we can look at parts of it, seems a bit more pragmatic. And looking at the numbers for context, we see that the road usage is obviously going down, which means peak times could potentially be going down. But just noting that whoever took photos, that's only a point in time within a space of 2 to 3 hours. I mean, if you're standing there for 2 to 3 hours and taking photos, that makes sense. But obviously days and times change. So I'm keen to support the advice. I'm keen to see what comes back from staff. I trust staff wholeheartedly, and seeing what sections could be optimised and what sections might want to not be changed. And that's when the real vote starts. So I'm open to see how we go. Thanks.
Marcus.
Thank you. Keen to get the staff advice on this when we get that road divested to us. It's important to keep our city moving is really what it's all about. And if these bus lanes are no longer being used as they were intended because they're no longer needed because the volumes disappeared onto the motorways either side, then yeah, let's listen to the locals there and have it reviewed so that perhaps we can unencumber their neighbourhood with these bus lanes so that they don't get these infringements for parking in the bus lanes that aren't needed anymore. So keen to get the advice back in due course and keep our city moving.
Okay, I'll put that. Put the motion. All of those in favour? Aye. Against? No. That's.
But I have, thank you, hands please.
3.
Fine, LJ, thank you.
It's carried. Okay, now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Yeah, I'll do that. Yep. When I'm trying to find my piece of paper that tells me the start of it. Oh, here it is. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Before we start, what I'd like to do is stand for just a moment's silence to sort of reflect on what's happened in Venezuela and thinking about what happened here 16 years ago. They've got a lot bigger things happening there than what we had because they had 2 earthquakes, big ones, one after another. So if we could just stand for a moment's silence to reflect that, please. Thank you very much. Right, there is a wee presentation coming up a bit late. Not quite yet, but it will. I'll start off by thanking Deputy Mayor Victoria for stepping in while I was over in China. I'm sure she found it was an extremely easy job. What else we got in here? I quickly shot in and to the retirement function of Wen Kei Chen, who's been there extraordinary 51 years, and I worked with him at Heathcote County Council before he came here. He taught me how to play euchre in the caravan. And no, lovely guy, and has put a hell of a lot of service into the council. The other thing that I should just touch on that I wrote down, and David was going to do it, but it was mentioning We got Michelin Star Restaurant. Is there one or two in Christchurch? Two.
Two, and 3 restaurants mentioned as nearly there. So fantastic.
McDonald's and Subway, I think it was.
Yeah, I know Miro was on the finalists, Londo, Gatherings, and one other escapes my names. And Artie got a 1 star, so fantastic.
Yeah, so no, it is good. We all know how good all the food eateries are around town, but it's good to see them acknowledged. So just going through this a little bit, I'll do the pictures in a minute. Went to Qingdao and looked at where they make high-speed trains, which is outstanding. I had Jake with me, which was it was good because he saw some of the dreams that I was thinking about. It's the strangest Merrill trip with going to look at high-speed trains, car factories, wastewater treatment plants, burning rubbish to energy, water purification plants. But one of the most important things was signing the sister city relationship with Shenzhen. So that was good. And then I went on to Queenstown. Went on to Singapore to the World City Summit, which is always very good. It's about 150, 200 mayors there, and it's very good to see that everyone's thinking the right thing and talking in the right direction of how we can go forward and save climate, do climate. It's everyone. It's good stuff. It's all collaboration. And I see on here, Victoria went to Otatahi Housing Trust, the opening of 2 trust complexes, which was good. I went to the Antarctic Heritage Trust Explorer Conference, which was full of young, probably year 12 and year 13 kids from around town, which was extremely good. Went to the apron opening at the airport for DHL, and they announced that they've got FedEx coming there as well, so there's going to be 3 big cargo bits there. Vic went to the Indian High Commissioner, 125th anniversary of Niue, and also commemorating the coronation of their Majesty. So you've been real good. But as soon as I got back, I shot up to the National Erebus Memorial. Now that, when you get a chance when it's finished, go and have a look. It's very well received by the people that were up there, the families. One of the people I talked to was the 2nd policeman there, and he was 19 or 21 when he went there, and they were staying in a tent on the side of a mountain picking up things. So that's I feel so proud that Christchurch is helping these people through this problem. You go up there and it's pointing, and it's the whole thrust of the thing that it points south to Mount Erebus. It's just stuff that you'll learn when you get up there. So it's really good. It's really good. So with that, I'll get Katie to put just some of these pictures on here. I'll just talk to them as I see them. That's actually it's not inside a trackless tram. They let me drive a trackless tram, so any idiot can drive one. This is inside a high-speed train that's sticking to 350 kilometres an hour. It's and they build them up there 2 a week. Unbelievable what they do up there. Yeah. Thanks, Katie. Now this here is in the middle of town, as you can see. There's 10 underneath where we're standing to the left is a wastewater treatment plant under the ground. It's like Bromley under the ground. And 10,000 cubic metres of wastewater, treated wastewater, goes into this lake every day. And there's fish in it, there's plants in it, people sit around it and have picnics and stuff like that. The water is clear as a bell. So it's 10,000 cubic metres a day goes into this pond and into the river next door. And you'll see how clear it is in a minute. 40,000 cubic metres a day. That is one hell of a lot of waste, and they're treating it all underground. Outstanding. Then I went to another place in Wuhan. Huh? Oh no, it's coming. No, it's another one. This is a clarifier at another wastewater treatment plant. Now we've got 4 of these down at Bromley. What they've done, exactly the same as what we've got, but what they've done is they've put solar panels over the top of it like a roof on top of wires. The photo on the right is how they hold it up and stretch the wires across. And all of that power goes to sort that goes to the wastewater treatment plant without going onto the grid. So we don't pay Mercury a bloody fortune for clicking the ticket, so we get to use it. So I'm really keen on something like this, and I'll probably be pestering Anne shortly to get one in. Okay, and this is how clean the water is that comes out of it. Now, you imagine if we can get to that point and into our oxidation ponds, water that clean goes. Okay, it's a wee way off, but it's something to attest to. It's something that we could have a crack at. And these are in big cities, you know, so it's a big deal. Then I signed up the Shenzhen thing, which was very important, very, very moving. It was good. It was very good. And just lastly, this is a wee video here.
Hey
this
guys,
is a,
so this one is only one car deep.
There's a parking garage that normally you can park 12 cars on the ground, and it goes up that high, right? And you can park 90 cars in the area where you can park 12.
Holds 30 cars.
You drive in,
So
press a
this
button,
here holds
you drive
90
your car in,
cars.
press a button,
Unbelievable.
takes it up. When it comes down,
Put your
spins
car
it
in,
round
press the
so
button,
it comes
walk
out the
away,
right way round.
and it's gone.
Yeah, it's great for tiny areas, and this was just back of Beyond, and it won't go up. You can't stand in there and get caught in the lift and all that sort of thing. But what I'm getting at is, people say, oh, if you buy something from China, it's cheap and it's rubbish. I tell you what, the technology they've got over there, if you want to spend the dough, you'll get the good stuff. So there's some very exciting things that I've seen over there. The other one was waste to energy, whether that flies here or not. I know they tried it down in Waimate and it didn't, but they've got so many of these waste to energy plants over there making electricity, they've run out of waste. They now buy the waste. There's a rush on to buy the waste to put into the waste to energy plant. So there's all that new stuff. So
Can you tell us how efficient they were?
Pardon me?
Were they efficient, those burning the waste?
Yes. And sorry, the only other thing I want to talk about in the start of my mayor's report, and I don't know where it is, but at the beginning of this training, I confirmed that we would join audit and risk and health and safety together. So that's been done, and it's good stuff going forward. You got anything to say on that? You all right?
No, I think there's good sense in it, and I think it should work well, and that happens in a number of other councils as well.
Mm-hmm. So with that, I won't dribble on any longer. I'm moving, obviously, and Pauline's seconding it. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Any chance of getting our media team to chop this up into a story? So Phil tells his trip story, because often when elected members, and the mayor's copped the most flack for it, do trips on behalf of the city, it's just a junket, it's just this, it's just that. We never sell the story well enough to the value of the trip. And like, it doesn't have to be long, but you know, a good 6-minute video with all this different bits and pieces and you telling the story, like chopped together nicely. I think it will get a lot of views.
Because otherwise people say, oh, here's the mayor going on another bloody holiday, but it's not. It certainly wasn't.
You'd probably rather stay home with your grandkids, but I mean, there's good stuff to be done and learn.
And if we bring just a wee bit of it here, Yanni.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the information. Particularly keen on the wastewater treatment plant information. We just had a community meeting last week or the week before on all the work that's happening at our wastewater treatment plant. I guess I'm concerned to know how can we pick up some of the innovation that you've seen and put it into what we're doing, given the scale of money that we're investing and the scale of projects that we have having there. Like, is there an opportunity to look at with some degree of urgency, given the current work program at our treatment plant, what some of the technologies or the innovations are? And I mean, I was particularly keen to know if they gave you any understanding of how they got the water so clean. Is there anything they're doing that we can
Yes, because it's all very well say it's clean, but if it's got so many chemicals in it, we're not going to win, are we? So we will be doing some work on that, because it is important. Now, you imagine if that clean water that you saw was actually going into the oxidation ponds. They don't have oxidation ponds over there because their water's so clean as it leaves. So you could actually have the oxidation ponds with that clean water going in and make it to an absolute wildlife reserve. And it's not all that gooey stuff. So,
But sorry, did they give you any, like, how did they get it so clean?
oh yeah, no, I'll be getting Gavin to talk to them, and yeah. And they have bent over backwards to help us. No issue at all. So
That's cool. And then just any reflection on the electrification of the transport over there? Was there anything that you saw around what they're doing around EVs or EV technology?
There's EVs for Africa. It is, apparently, from what I'm told, the Chinese government threw money at 100 startups for EVs, and they know some will fail. But a couple or three will get through and win the race, so to speak, and that's the one they'll back going forward. We went to BYD, and I jumped in the car that did 0 to 6. I didn't drive it. 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. My eyeballs were in the back of my head for about half an hour afterwards. But yeah, and it's faster than the car I had before I sold it. So there's a lot of technology, but the main thing is all of their buses are electric. The BYD people showed us videos of the old batteries and them drilling a hole in it and catches fire, and the new batteries you drill a hole and it doesn't. There's so much technology coming, and they're right at the front of it. So it's very exciting. So a lot of good stuff happening. So very good. Okay, so with that, I'll move that. All those in favour? Against? Thank you very much. That's carried. Okay, so we're to PXing, are we?
Yes.
So I'll move to go into, I'll move it and Kelly will second it. We'll go into PX. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thanks. That's carried.